Why aren't we killing it? For the slaughter!
Hello Strat fans, and welcome to Colonel Strat. It's me, your host of the most, Colonel Strat himself. So today I'm going to be showing you all that is blood. Blood, skulls, and fury of Khorne. So we're going to be showing off Khorne's race with Skarbrand here today. So I'm going to show you just how crazy they can get, because it's very Skarbrand himself is a very powerful character, and then his faction is even more powerful as a faction because he just can steamroll through anything. I hope that future Khorne characters are just as powerful, if not more, because Khorne is a very beefy god, but he does have an Achilles heel, which can be exploited. His lack of magic, his lack of ranged units, but you shouldn't mess with him because he still is very, very formidable, especially in melee combat. If he closes the gap, you're pretty much done. All right, so let's get into the campaign stuff.
Throughout this land in a tide of blood, Khorne commands it.
And what Khorne commands, we do. So, the Exiles of Khorne, being the only Khornate faction, is our best way to show you how Khorne plays as a race. So we should expect the future DLC lords to kind of emulate him a little bit, but not be completely like him. Anywho, so they play a little bit different to what Nurgle played. So they have the Skull Throne mechanic here. So every time you click this, you get a whole bunch of bonuses like Summon from Beyond, which is an army ability to summon Bloodletters, which are pretty good units. Blood Host +2. Blood Host is a whole new mechanic that's specific to Khorne. Income from post-battle loot, movement range, which is something Skarbrand is really good at, is keeping his movement range up, and construction time. But it costs skulls, which is a unique currency that only Khorne factions get. So they dedicate skulls to the Skull Throne by getting kills, events, skull piles. You can get them passively. So it's it's an easy resource to get. And you use them for the Skull Throne and other things, as well as technologies, all types of stuff like that. So, also, if you may have noticed this red bar on the side of Skarbrand's army, this is the bloodletting mechanic. So, the more battles that Skarbrand wins, the more his bloodletting goes up, and he gets these bonuses. These bonuses include growth, casualty replenishment, Khorne corruption, upkeep, and it's just you can get up to massacring, which is 9+ battle victories. You can get insane buffs, and Skarbrand, whenever he beats an army, he gets a big movement. He gets a lot of movement back on the campaign map. So like if he were to beat this orc army right here, let's just see. All right, so decisive smashes them. Let's get some skulls, and there he's got a little bit of movement back. This allows Skarbrand to just keep on killing and moving, because he was at 25 and he got up to 55. And then of course you can get like Root Marcher and all these other things to help him. I usually pick up the blue skills first, because Khorne suffers a lot from casualty replenishment, especially if you're fighting constantly. You'll eventually notice that most of your units are like very weak, like only have a few entities in them, if there aren't single entity units. But that's the reality of playing Khorne. But yeah, if you notice, our bloodletting went up a little bit. You get 2 more victories and you go up to this level, and then you get more victories, you get up to this level, and then so on and so forth, and you're killing, you're getting skulls, and you're getting these bonuses, so it helps your growth. So Khorne also is unique because when their settlements, while they do have the regular stuff, like they have like Khornate, the regular buildings like recruitment buildings and advanced recruitment and infrastructure and all that. Khorne, like all the other factions, I think I forgot to talk about this in the Nurgle video, but they also have, for the main settlements, they can make portals or they can make strongholds, which strongholds are good for if you want mortal units, and they actually are more defensive. So I usually pick strongholds over portals, but portals allow you to get more demons and increases your corruption in the province, so it really helps get your unholy manifestations. Now, speaking of unholy manifestations, let's go and see Khorne's. So Khorne has a lot of unique ones. So his first one is called Eternal War, which summons a small hostile army that will attack the target immediately, and it's pretty effective. Like, watch, we click on it, and we get a small army. And for Skarbrand, what you can do with that is, boom, you got more movement speed. And then look at that, we can have a third battle against these guys. Boom. Now, I usually do skulls or blood. So when you do skulls for the skull throne, you get a whole bunch of skulls and you raise the settlement. You never want to occupy because it costs skulls to do that. And Khorne has a special mechanic that they can colonize ruins passively, as long as ruins remain ruins for a long time. And then you do Blood for the Blood God, which gives you healing and spawns a blood host extra army right here. It spawns this whole blood host, and that's quite a sizable force to spawn with. So I usually start with a little bit of blood host armies, because they will help build up your forces, and you'll be able to really, I don't know if I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Nah, you can't exchange the units, so you'll have to follow that army around. But it does help a lot because you got extra units, you got extra armies, and you're able to completely destroy. And like I said, there is a mechanic called spreading of destruction, or destruction spreads or something, and it gives a percentage chance based on how much Khorne corruption is in the province to settle a ruined settlement. So really, you can play like that slow creep of an empire while your army is out smashing things. So it does play to your effect. Now, when we go to technology, again, like I said, see 5% chance to automatically colonize ruined regions and province at turn start. So you get more chances to do that. I usually will cap the main settlement of a province and let all the small ones slowly be colonized by me. So I usually go with either spread rage, raging denial, because then you get some more spell resist, or rage within for your marauders, or serial killing, which gives you more movement range for blood hosts, which is really good. But I usually go with spread rage. Costs a bit of skulls, but we get it. And I will upgrade that. But that's pretty much the gist of it, because Khorne doesn't really like talking to other people. It can be friends with certain people, but it's not gonna. You're not gonna really make friends as Khorne, because you're Khorne. You're gonna be wanting to kill things. So that concludes the whole campaign side. I know, very interesting. So let's go on to some army compositions now. All right, so here we are, Strat fans, with our first Khorne army. So for tier 1. Looks pretty basic. We only have a few variations. You may notice that we do have some bloodletters, and that's because we can get them turn 1 as Skarbrand. So I usually count them, even though we can't get as much, so I didn't bring as many. Because when you play Skarbrand, you do start with a hefty amount of, with a good amount of bloodletters, and you can get them pretty good as well. But they are more expensive than Marauders, and I usually just use Marauders anyway, because they don't have the demonic trait, which really does bring the bloodletters down. So it really does help to have a few mortal units. So anyway, so we do have some bloodletters, and then our Marauders, our Khorne. I brought 2 variants. I usually bring shielded and the dual axe. The dual axe variant is probably superior because they are better for a frontline unit, but I usually bring a mixture so that I can have one that holds a line and one that presses. But really, you could bring one or the other, and I actually would suggest the dual axe weapons, because they just do more damage. They have that bonus for his infantry. They all have frenzy because they're marked by Khorne, but I also bring the Marauders of Khorne with shield, with sword and board, just because they do have that missile deflect with their shields. So it does help against missile armies like this one here. And then up front, I have some Marauders of Horsemen with throwing axes. Pretty basic stuff. Then we have Scarbrand. And for our hero choice, I brought an Exalted Hero of Khorne, which is no question. It is the better one compared to the Cultist of Khorne. So I usually bring him over that Cultist any day. Alrighty, so let's go into our first battle against the Orcs. We're going to have these guys just harass some units. And we're going to send Scarbrand in. And we're going to send our main force in as well. With Bloodletters over here. And these guys over here. Alright, Scarbrand. Let's cut down this leader. So we might try to do some flanking with some of the Marauders, including the throwing axes. Alright, let's get him through there. Scarbrand himself is very good at taking out enemy formations. And all of these Marauders are really good as well. Though they do struggle against missile units.
Seize their skulls! Takers of skulls! God's greatest warriors! Takers of skulls!
So this ability right here has melee attack. This one makes them unbreakable. I usually go for Blade of Khorne because it's just so much better. There he goes. Let's take care of that.
Blood! Blood! We serve the slaughter! Rivers of blood!
Alright. This is the few missile units, and we're going to use it not for missiles. Alright, Scarbrand, you've just given us a free ticket to the Blade of Khorne ability. Alright, and then there's a whole lot of damage to enemy forces. And then we're already getting more. The more blood spilt from enemy entities killed, the better we are. Because the more enemies that they bring, the more entities they bring, the more we're gonna get our abilities. All right, and that Blade of Khorne did a whole lot of damage. And of course, Scarbrand is going to just like go crazy. And by this point in the battle, it's pretty much just Scarbrand going crazy, killing everything, and he's done so much damage. Alright. We're just gonna send our gonna send our cavalry into the enemy missile line. Cavalry is Khorne's best friend, because then they can counter the missiles and give you better results like this. So that's a tier 1. So let's go on to a tier 2. Alright, and here we are with a tier 2. So for the start of tier 2, we've got we've carried on our bloodletters. Now we got more of them. And we could make them our front line, but there's a whole lot better front line that's available, and that's the Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual weapons. They're so beefy. They have 110 armor, 52 weapon strength with bonus versus infantry. They are insane for a tier 2 unit, and I always carry them as my main line, with bloodletters being supporting units. And then we have our Exalted Hero of Khorne. We also have Scarbrand himself, and then we also picked up a Blood Reaper. So these Blood Reapers are really, they're good melee specialists. They're not as good as an Exalted Hero, in my opinion, just because they're not as beefy. But with their Hellblade ability, they're able to increase their armor piercing and regular weapon damage. They also have several special abilities, and they're really good at reducing spell damage to them. And then we also have the Chaos Knights of Khorne, and I know they're technically considered a tier 3 unit, but for Scarbrand, he can get them around mid to late game. So I added a couple into this composition just because they could be pretty good. But them or Flesh Hounds, which are the second one, will do good as a archer and backline fighter. So they usually do so really good against them. Alrighty, and that pretty much concludes the army. Let's go into this battle against our hated foe, Slaanesh.
For the dark gods, Chaos Warriors of Khorne, lusting for slaughter, for chaos, eradicate them. Spill blood! Knights of Khorne! Khorne compels! Move! Blood! The blood fury! Blood! Lusting for slaughter! For destruction! Exalted Hero of Khorne! Conquest! Guided by chaos! Close up a sheep! Deliver death! Chaos Warriors! Of Khorne! Blood Reaper!
Alright. Get their retreating units. Let's try to get their cavalry too.
Taking scouts!
Alright, let's do Khorne's gift right down here from the heavens on these Slaaneshi sluts. The Dark Prince sucks! Look at that. All of them just got banished back to the Shadow Realm. Alrighty. We're able to just do so much damage to them. Bloodletters are just the OP. They're the OP demonic mainline infantry. They're just so good. That's why I never stop using them. Even when they get a little bit overused, I still use them because they're just that good. Oh, jeez. You're over here. Come on, buddy. Let's go there. There we go. That only took 2 minutes to defeat the Dark Prince's army, and he had a better force. Well, he didn't have a better force than us, but he had a better force than the orcs before us. We saw the balanced power was a little bit more balanced, and we just wrecked them. So that just goes to show how powerful these Khorne units get in melee. So like encountering them in melee is just not good. Like I said, they do have Achilles heel. If you can keep them baited, you can kill them. But if the blood's flowing, they're killing, and they're killing good. So now let's go on to a tier 3. All right, Strat fans, and here we are with a tier 3. So for the tier 3, there's a lot of different changes because it really opens up the roster once you get to the top tier. So first of all, our front line, all chosen of Khorne with dual weapons. I can't continue to say good things. 69 weapon strength with a bonus for his infantry. It causes them to do so much more, and they're like, it's almost 100 damage they have towards the infantry units. They're just so good. 130 armor with flaming attacks, and of course their spell resistant fury and frenzy just makes them so much better once they actually enter the field. And then behind them we have our exalted bloodletters. So the exalted bloodletters are like bloodletters on steroids. They have flaming attacks. They have Hellblade, which gives them, after they have 80 kills, they'll have a bonus 20% to base weapon damage and armor piercing. They're beasts. They're beasts, but they lack armor, which is what the chosen of Khorne have in plenty supply. That's why they're the front line, and these guys help with the back, because they kill a lot better than the chosen, but they can't survive as much in a fight. And then we have our Blood Reaper. He's on a blood shrine here. Really increases his combat capability. And then in the back we have the Skull Crushers of Khorne. These Skull Crushers are on Juggernauts, which are demonic mounts, and they're just insane. Being mortal units, they don't have the demonic trait, so that means they will stay in combat fast, much longer. And they have armor piercing, anti-large. They're just insane. And then we have a skull cannon, 2 skull cannons in the back. These skull cannons are one of Khorne's premier ranged weapons. So they're insane artillery unit. And then when they run out of their small ammunition stockpile, they still are pretty good in melee, especially against infantry units. And then flying in the skies, we have 2 Bloodthirsters. The Bloodthirsters are Khorne's babies. They are the big old hunkin' behemoths that go in and just decimate everything. You gotta carry 1 or 2 in every Khorne army, because you're just going to get so many kills with them, and they're going to be so good. You just want to keep them out of the line of fire of like big artillery units, because they are a big target. And then wrapping it up, we have Scarbrand himself, going to be leading the front here. And then right here is a Chaos War Shrine of Khorne. Not as good as the Chaos War Shrine of Nurgle, so I only carry 1 or 2 in each army, but they do have a nice buff with a weapon damage and melee attack, so it helps keep the line moving forward, and they are still pretty formidable by themselves as well. Alrighty, so with that also, here's our Exalted Hero of Khorne on his Juggernaut mount. Increases his combat effectiveness a whole lot more. So let's go into this final battle against the High Elves. Alrighty.
Throughout this land in a tide of blood, Khorne commands it.
Alright, I believe they have a
Seeking victims, march for Khorne. Maneuvering.
if I remember, I think I gave them a couple big baller units.
Khorne powers.
Let's fire on those guys.
Where are the scouts? Very well. Khorne empowers. Murder for Khorne. Hunting through. Skybound demands souls. Mutant fury. Blood fury. Towards war. Will you delete?
Let's send these guys up here. Deal with these missile units. And I'm gonna send these bloodthirsters as well to help against the missile units. Oh shit. Bloodletters aren't even in combat. Get in combat there, broods. Yeah, you almost have 70, you almost have 80 kills. The more kills you get, the more powerful you get. Just think of it that way. Reach 80% kills. Come on. There we go. Now they have Hellforge. Look at that. Hellforge blades. Alright, let's see. Do we have any fronts that aren't falling immediately to us? Oh, there's a good one.
Scouts for the scout front! All shall die!
Ooh, that was a nice one.
Lusting for slaughter!
Alright, now we get to send our skull cannons in to do some more damage in melee. Yep, there they go, chugging around on their little skull cannon motorbike.
It's called commands!
Alright, the Lilton Sea Guard we gotta kill.
Exalted hero of Khorne! The drinker of blood! Scarbrand demands skulls! Chosen of Khorne, bring in ruin.
There we go. See, it's just like at a certain point you just cause so much havoc in the enemy by doing so much damage that they don't know what to do. And we barely took any casualties because we just were able to hit them so hard. And this army had quite a bit of tier 3 units in it as well. So that concludes our compositions. Let's wrap this thing up now, Strat fans. Alright, Strat fans, so I hope that you learned all the power that is Khorne, and that you're ready to dedicate yourself to the service of the Blood God and the Skull Throne. So, that concludes my Khorne guide today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it, and you learned something new about Khorne, about our favorite red angry daddy. So, remember to follow me on TikTok, subscribe to me on YouTube here, like the video if you enjoyed it, and leave a comment. I respond to all comments, and I eagerly encourage people to talk to me because I want to make content people like. So I take all types of criticism. If you don't like it, you can leave a dislike. Any engagement's engagement to me, and I love every single one of it. So, without further ado, Strat fans, keep it strategic. Colonel out.